boxing fans, whether you're from Boston, California, Las Vegas, the UK, and quite frankly, anywhere on the planet. As long as you're within the boxing fraternity, chances are you've heard of Moses the Black Mamba Matovu. And I'm honored to be joined online by none other than the Black Mamba himself. Moses, what's happening, man? How are you doing, champ?
Thank you for that introduction, Dru. I am the one that is really honored to be on Dru TV. This is a very good day. I have been following what you've been doing, the interviews. Listen, we've known each other for quite some time. It's gonna be like about 11, 12 years now, ever since I met you in Vegas, and have seen the development of Dru TV.
You spent many years in the U.S., and one day you decided to take your talents across the pond to the UK. Please tell your fans about that transition and how life has been treating you.
I had a blessing, which is the wife calling, and I moved over here so we could be married. And as with all blessings, 2 years ago, we had a gift. And Ivy has made 2 years, my daughter. And along the way, it's been quite a journey, coming from Uganda, 95, and staying in the States till the end of 2007 and 2006, and being here, being married ever since 2007.
Now, I know you worked very hard. You always kept in very good shape and always a fan favorite here in the U.S. Have you been able to keep busy in the ring? Have you gotten those meaningful fights consistently?
I have had a busier life now in my boxing because there is a nice group of promoters and managers here that appreciates the work I put in and able to put me more regularly on the fight circuit. And that's okay for me, and because I love boxing and I didn't feel like I was ready to give it up. I really still wanted to stay involved, maybe not yet as a trainer.
And recently you were featured in a major hit show. Here in the U.S., it shows, or it airs on HBO, Game of Thrones. Please tell us about that opportunity, how it came about, and how are you enjoying life on the big screen now, on a much bigger screen?
How did Game of Thrones is my favorite show. It is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the world right now. And I'm lucky enough to be in one of the countries that it's filmed in around the world. They do some shots over in Croatia. They do some shots over in Iceland, and they do a little bit in Morocco and a few other places. But I live in Northern Ireland, UK, and that's one of the places that they do some of their filming. I'm one of the guys they use when they need an extra face in some of these movies. I am currently involved in a few feature films and a few made-for-TV movies and big Hollywood movies.
Let's talk boxing a little bit. Share some thoughts about Mayweather-Pacquiao. How did you see the fight, and what do you think that fight did to the boxing or to the game of boxing as a whole? What do you think was the significance of that fight?
If you were a boxing fan, you would have loved the artistry and you know, the pugilistic talent that, you know, Floyd Mayweather is. What do I think about the fight itself? The fight was a boxing lesson for Manny Pacquiao. On the day, Floyd did what Floyd always does. And Pacquiao, I'm sorry to say, but he was a little bit tentative to my liking. He seemed a little bit hesitant, you know, when they got into this cowdaggery and, you know, the middle things and ready to really, you know, where you would have expected him to go. He is usually a very dynamic and, you know, just a fella who could just throw 10, 12 punch combinations. But, you know, you did not see some of that. We find out now that, well, he says he had a shoulder injury. And that's not good for him and for us, the boxing fans.
Do you think there is an immediate superstar ready to carry the torch? He's not going to fill Floyd Mayweather's shoes, but ready to carry on the torch, at least, into the next generation. Do you think we have someone who is capable to carry on that torch?
Well, there is a few possible candidates. I mean, when you look around, there is a whole lot of guys that could really step in those shoes. But it's going to be very, very hard. You know, when you really look at what we're talking about here, I mean, Floyd is going down in history as not only one of the best, but he could very possibly be the best ever. You know, and in the words of the man himself, I think Floyd is once in a lifetime. We're talking 15 years, and he has hardly, you can hardly count on, you know, one hand how many rounds he's actually lost in those 15 years, or whatever, how long he's been dominating the game, you know, being a world champion. And, you know, that is something else.
There's a lot of talk about Amir Khan being you know, a worthy opponent. What do you think of Amir Khan as the next opponent for Floyd?
In case of any bias, if that fight ever came to fruition, I would actually be on Mayweather's side. But listen, Amir Khan has very fast hands, and this is a case of youth versus experience. Amir Khan has a little bit of youth on his side, I think. You can't exchange one for the other. However, you know, with the track record of Floyd Mayweather's work ethic and performance, he doesn't shy away from actually execution of the highest pugilistic skills when the game gets going.
Deontay Wilder finally represents the United States as a heavyweight champion of the world. What do you think is the state of the heavyweight division?
The heavyweight division is always a very interesting class of fighters. The Klitschko's have dominated it for such a long time, and I think it's very clear to everybody that they are nearing the end of their career. And who do we see that can take over? On a side note, I didn't even realize David Hay was back in the game. Last I heard, he had retired, but he's somebody who's formidable. He's always around and, can probably give somebody a very hard time. He could probably come back and topple one of the champions.
Let's talk about our young prospect, Sharif the Lion Bogere. He's fighting Michael Perez in Los Angeles on July 11th in what should be a great matchup in a title eliminator. What do you think of Sharif, and where do you think his career goes after he passed by Michael Perez?
When you really look at it, I think he only has a one loss on his record, if I remember well. A few fights ago, 2 or maybe we might even be talking 4 fights, he lost to a guy, I think it was Abreu. And, he bounced back. And he's won every fight after that, and very decisively in the eyes of the boxing world. Now, this is the one where he has gone back. He's been grinding, doing all the hard work, and this is the one that's going to open up the world for him.
What words of wisdom would you have for the youngsters who aspire to be like you, or to be the next Floyd, or to be the next big thing in the game of boxing? What words of wisdom would you have for those youngsters?
Without working, these things are not worth anything. And the advice that I would have is work and stop focusing on the money. A good friend of mine, Dennis, really highlighted this. We collaborate with him on the Garuga Village project, and he told me, money cannot be the answer of everything, and it cannot. It's not very derivative of any happiness, really. Though it can pay good down payment on the happiness side of things, but it cannot be the focal point of why you're doing what you're doing. You have to get reasons in why you're doing what you do. See, I'll put this in a simple way. Life is for the living. If you're still breathing, then that's quite a gift that you have that you can base upon, and anything is possible.
It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for making the time, and we would love to see you back in Vegas for a visit.
To answer them, I feel like I'm on Oprah. Ever since you told me you're going to interview me, I reached back, and all I could do was